let you know that the Denver show on December 7th is sold out, bitch. This is my first headline show ever, and I can't believe it.
Transformed DNA, my mind's making things move. Kidney infection, I heal that too. I've been doing things your brain can't compute.
Repeat after me. I am beautiful. I am divine. I am amazing. I am unique.
Y'all, what is going on with Shanin Blake? The internet has seen some chaotic creators, but this girl really took it to another planet. Literally. 1 second she's on TikTok saying she healed her kidney infection with the power of thought, and the next she's claiming she's a Nordic alien here to spread love and light. And yes, she is dead serious. Dreadlocks, dream catchers, crystals, even talking about how the pyramids were built for time travel. At first, people just thought it was harmless hippie stuff, but the deeper you look, the messier it gets, because underneath all the feathers and chants is a whole lot of cultural appropriation and some claims that started sounding way too close to white supremacy wrapped in spiritual talk. And she didn't just stop there. Shanin turned this entire image into a career. Music, merch, even a mansion in the woods. But the higher she climbed, the faster it all came crashing down. So today, we're unpacking the tragic downfall of Shanin Blake and how she destroyed her own career piece by piece. Before all the alien talk and Aryan starseed nonsense, Shanin's whole brand started with her look. And let's be real, it was a look.
I burn the stage to cut ties and say my goodbyes to anybody after that doesn't deserve my time, cause
we're talking the full checklist. Dreadlocks down to her waist, feathers in her hair, dream catchers hanging in the background, crystals stacked on every finger. If you have seen even one of her TikToks, you know exactly what I mean. At first glance, it just reads as quirky hippie girl, right? But the more people scrolled, the more obvious it became. She wasn't just vibing, she was borrowing hairstyles, spiritual practices, and even languages from cultures that weren't hers. Let's call it what it is. Dreadlocks on Caucasian people is always a hot button topic. It's not just about the hair, it's the history. And Shanin wasn't just casually rocking the style, she built her whole identity around it. And yet for a while, it worked. Her videos went viral, her songs started circulating, and she carved out this niche as the spiritual TikTok girl who preached about healing, light, and cosmic energy. But instead of listening, Shanin doubled down. And this is where the story takes a turn, because the deeper she leaned into this aesthetic, the closer she got to pushing something way darker than just hippie vibes. She started telling fans she wasn't just spiritual, she was actually a Nordic alien. Yeah. According to her, she came from the Pleiades star cluster and reincarnated on Earth to spread light. On the surface, it sounds like your typical new age woo-woo, right? But if you've ever looked into UFO lore, you know exactly what she was referencing. Because Nordic aliens aren't just any aliens. They've been described in old UFO circles as tall, blonde, blue-eyed beings. Basically, space Scandinavians. And the creepy part? Those descriptions have been tied to Aryan race mythology. The same stuff Hitler used to push his whole super race obsession.
From the Pleiades, luring is the race. See, I came to this earth to bring love, light, and healing. I came up from nothing, now I have everything.
So here we are watching a white TikToker with dreadlocks and dream catchers calling herself a Nordic alien and talking about being a higher chosen to guide humanity.
Who are the Aryans? There's no doubt you've heard of this word. Whether it was in a history class studying World War II or from racial superiority groups. Who does the word refer to? Well, all modern languages classified as Indo-European, from English to Hindi, are believed to have been derived from a common language spoken in the steppes of Eurasia.
Like, this ain't just quirky hippie stuff anymore. This is more like white supremacy wrapped up in sage smoke. And people caught on fast. Comment sections varied from "I love her so much" to "psychosis final boss." Because let's be honest, when you start mixing "I'm an alien" with "I'm a superior race," you're not just cosplaying spirituality anymore. You're playing with fire.
When I was in Peru and we were sitting with ayahuasca and San Pedro, I got really, really shown and connected to like the alien world, where I had never really believed in alien stuff, but I got gifted these like ancient artifacts that were dated like 11,000 years old, you know, and they had aliens on them. So my mind was getting up into the alien stuff. So when I went to Peru, it's extremely alien there, and everyone, all the people that live there, they know about it, and they're like, oh yeah, because like I finally saw one in the ceremony, and everyone's like, oh yeah, that's normal. They like come and hang out and they'll like drink medicine with you.
And instead of backing off, she went further. She turned sacred practices into TikTok content, and that's when things really crossed the line. We're talking about sage burning, sweat lodge references, chants she clearly didn't grow up with, and we're even dropping Hawaiian words like ho'opono into her songs. And for those who don't know, that is a traditional Hawaiian practice about reconciliation and forgiveness. But Shanin, she turned it into a catchy lyric for clout. Like, she could have just said sorry. She didn't need to put an entire indigenous identity into it.
And I feel free, ho'oponopono, please forgive, cause I am sorry.
She's using ho'oponopono, please forgive me, I'm sorry. Ho'oponopono is an ancient Native Hawaiian practice involving several steps of Native Hawaiian protocol wrapped in cultural ceremony. This practice is used within communities for conflict resolution. You have to try and think beyond just between two people. We're talking between the aina, metaphysical, emotional, interpersonal. It's involved.
And it's not just what she said, it's how she packaged it. Layers of necklaces, tribal-inspired outfits, flashing third eye hand poses, all meant to make her look spiritual and authentic. But the second you peel back the look, it is obvious she is using these practices as props to sell music, props to build an image, and props to make herself seem deeper than she actually is. Now, the more she mixed spirituality with her brand, the more people wanted to know, where was all this money coming from? And once that answer came out, it changed the entire conversation about who Shanin really was. If you scroll back to her older posts, and you'll see her filming in a tiny room with a mattress on the floor, she's admitted herself that she grew up in a trailer park with her mom and her grandparents. Nothing glamorous, no crystals hanging off the ceiling, just everyday survival. But then quarantine hit and her TikTok started blowing up, and suddenly she's giving house tours of a massive home in the woods with giant mirrors and luxury decor.
All right, we are at Shanin's house here in the woods. So beautiful. Hi.
Shut up! Welcome to my crib. Unhinged.
Unhinged as fuck.
A little messy because we just got back from tour, so there's suitcases everywhere.
Who's that?
This is the random guy that just lives in Marshmallows.
Fans in her comments were like, trust fund baby vibes, while others were pointing out that she literally said she wasn't rich growing up. And honestly, that's where the debate really kicked in. On the one hand, people wanted to root for her, like, yes, you got yourself out of a rough situation and made it big. That is inspiring. But on the other hand, how exactly did she fund this glow up? Because the answer wasn't music streams, and it wasn't sponsorships. It was her entire spiritual healer persona. And just when people thought Shanin couldn't push her spiritual healer act any further, she added another layer that had the internet side-eyeing her hard. Because it turns out she wasn't just making TikToks and songs about aliens, she was also running an OnlyFans. Now, let me be super clear, there is nothing wrong with That's work. Do your thing, make your money, no judgment. But with Shanin, it's the way she blended it with her spiritual goddess identity that made people uncomfortable. She was literally taking sacred practices, packaging them into this exotic persona, and then turning it into content that people could fetishize. Think about that. She's on TikTok singing chants she doesn't even come from, dressed up like a modern day shaman, and then behind the paywall, it's the same character being sexualized for profit. That's not just hustling. That is exploiting indigenous culture twice over. First for clout and then for cash. People started calling her out, saying she turned spirituality into a costume and was now using it to cater to fantasies that weren't even hers to sell.
The thing that you have to understand with Shanin Blake is that she does have an OnlyFans, and presumably in this OnlyFans, she looks the same as she does in all the rest of her videos. So when she takes these traditions, these cultural practices from minority groups and implements them into her style, as you're saying, they're taking bits and pieces from what we feel suits us, she's then going and sexualizing it and profiting off of it in her OnlyFans.
And the more people exposed this side of her, the more they started revisiting her music. Because once you actually start listening to those lyrics, it's less about spreading light and way more about hyping up herself as some divine being. Most of her songs aren't about love, heartbreak, or even normal hippie stuff like peace and nature. Nope. They're about her. Track after track, she's calling herself a bad B-word and an activated goddess and a savage. Like, we get it, you love yourself. But how did we go from I'm here to heal the world to I'm basically the chosen one?
I'm a bad bitch, powerful and savage, activated goddess. I've been on my boss, confident and divine.
And the delivery? Oh, fans could not ignore how off it was, especially that duet clip she posted with her boyfriend or cousin, depending on which caption you saw. In the video, they're harmonizing, but the whole vibe is so awkward that people didn't know whether to laugh or cringe.
And my third eye, my guidance, how I know I'm in alignment. I breathe it in and I find it. I turn my shit into diamonds. My trailer parked to an island. Used to steal food, now I buy it.
It was the moment people realized that Shanin's ego had officially eaten the healer persona alive. She wasn't just making music, she was preaching about herself like she was some higher being. Now, after that duet clip went viral, the internet had officially turned on Shanin. The same people who once hyped her up as this earth goddess started calling her out left and right. And honestly, the comments say it all. One fan nailed it perfectly. She pretends to love the hippie lifestyle, but she is the actual opposite of the lifestyle she's trying to portray. It costs a lot of money to look like her. She is fake. She uses it to promote her music because the OnlyFans wasn't working out. Another person compared her to the trust fund babies at Burning Man, saying that she looks like someone who cosplays as spiritual just to pose for Instagram. But the harshest callouts came from people connecting the dots between her Aryan alien talk and white supremacy. One viral comment put it bluntly. She also says that she's an Aryan alien. Aryan is the white supremacist race Hitler wanted everyone to be because Aryans are white, blonde, blue-eyed men. She's a neo-Nazi. And she also kissed her cousin, and her cousin sang a love song to her like they live in Alabama. Ouch! That is not just shade, that was a full-on drag. And it shows how fast Shanin's image shifted from quirky hippie to internet villain. And that's the tragic part of this whole story, because Shanin Blake didn't just lose her career, she destroyed it with her own hands.